Hello everyone, it's Łukasz Malinowski, the Internet of Things advisor and trainer. Today we are going to talk about a very important topic, that is how to manage the digital transformation of an enterprise. My today's guest, Wilhelm, unfortunately was not able to join me, so I decided that I need to create some kind of additional value for you, and not only speaking about my own experience, but to share some wider picture. And that is why I decided to review the digital transformation collaborative articles from LinkedIn, pick the ones that I find most interesting, and share my insights with you, and share some comments from other community members on those topics. So if you are interested in any specific case, or if you want to share your inputs with me, please put them in comments. I will try to answer as many questions as possible. I created this Google document just to filter out the articles that I find most interesting. You can review them, and I will go one by one with you today, but maybe that would be interesting for you for the future reference. You can find that link on the fingerx.com/live page. If you scroll a bit down, you've got a link to those selected articles. And yeah, let's get started. Hopefully that's going to be informative for you. So this is the first article that I decided to talk about. So how to prioritize and select the most suitable digital technologies for your business goals. And this is something that is extremely important, and it shows a huge risk regarding to the digital transformation. That is focus on the technology instead of the business outcomes. So the digital transformation as such, this is not a technical engagement. At least not primary technical engagement. And I actually was involved in a few projects that focused too much on the technology, and as a result failed to deliver the business value. So this is something I want to underline, that is a common theme in number of articles, that they mention technology, but the digital transformation itself is way bigger than the technological change, and technology is just a tool. So regarding the approach, I think that those points are really valid. So first of all, we need to assess the current state. So we need to define the as is, so where we are, and actually how the whole enterprise get us to the point that it is ready to transform. Because this is something that is also often overlooked, that we are focusing on those new shiny technologies and forget how we get there. Like we forget that all of those legacy systems, legacy processes actually worked because we are at the stage that we've got the stable business and we are ready to transform it. So we should not underestimate the as-is state. We should really understand that this is what actually bring us to that stage. And once we are ready to transform digitally, we should try to define the to-be state. So what are we trying to achieve in the long run? Because this is very, very important. And of course, that to-be stage will change, because as you will shortly see, the digital transformation is a very iterative process. But still, we need to have some kind of an idea of what we are trying to achieve. And once we understand the as-is state, so the current state, and to-be state, so the state that we want to achieve, only then we are going to be ready to define all of those intermediate steps. And those intermediate steps between as-is and to-be actually guide us through the implementation process. So this is very, very important, that knowing from where we are starting and what we are trying to achieve, this is the absolute mandatory in any transformational engagement. And like vision and goals, this is part of the to be state, right? So we use the vision and the goals and basically what we believe we would like to achieve, because we do not know, like, till we get there, till we actually implement all of those solutions and implement those processes, those improvements, we do not really know if that's going to work out in our favor or not. So we need to have that vision, but we need to be ready to change that vision whenever that's going to be actually important. Then we can explore technology, right? Because technology is just a tool, and digital transformation is more of the mindset change than the technology itself. Going further, of course, we need to plan and execute that transformation. But what is very important is that we should improve continuously, because every iteration like that, every little intermediate step between the as is and to be should give us some additional understanding of what we are trying to achieve, and we should be able to cross-validate our assumptions with the reality and verify if that is actually, if we are heading in the direction that we really want to head. And let's go further, because this article brings some very good points. So how we can manage the risks and challenges of the digital transformation. So first of all, we need to align on the vision and strategy, because this is very, very important. Like, we need to ensure that everyone understands what we are trying to achieve. If there is no alignment on the to be state, then we should not start the whole engagement. Like, we should once again sit down at the conference table and discuss our goals, discuss the vision, and make everyone on board. Because without that, starting implementation would harm us, because it's way easier to change something on the whiteboard than once you actually got some form of development process going on. Because in that case, introducing changes would cost and time and money. This is something that we want to really avoid. And we should engage people and the culture. So this is very, very important, that when we start digital transformation, what we are actually doing is we are changing the way that the whole enterprise is going to operate, the way that it's going to produce the business outcomes, and as a result, the way how employees at every stage of the organization will work and will conduct their daily activities. So this is very impactful. And the way that we can manage that is if we engaged with everyone, and everyone in the organization is basically a stakeholder that needs to be involved in the digital transformation process. So this is very, very important. We need to know what types of capabilities we've got in-house. So as I told at the very beginning, the as-is state is the state that brought us to the beginning of digital transformation, that underlines the value that the enterprise is already generating. But not every enterprise is the IT company, right? And in order to transform an organization digitally, we need those IT skills. So we should be very clear if we've got those skills in-house, or if we want to train our people in-house to get those required IT skills, or maybe we would like to purchase those IT skills from the market. And that brings us to the next point, which is how to choose partners and solutions. And as I commented for this article, I believe to keep things easy and simple, I suggest to have two partners for every digital transformation. And one partner helps with designing the digital transformation journey on the very strategic level, working with stakeholders, defining the vision, and the other helps to implement those use cases step by step. So it's focused more on the tactical level instead of the strategical level. And of course, that might be the same person or the same company that's handling those two tasks, but when we separate that strategical high level approach from tactical implementation, it is easier to avoid the biggest risk of digital transformation, that is focusing on technology itself and going into details just for the research part that gets more and more disconnected from the end-to-end vision and from the goal that we want to achieve in the first place. So that's why if we've got those two roles separate, then the person or the company or the group of people that is focusing on the strategy, they are not distracted by technology and they are not distracted by those daily challenges that we always face when we work with technology and we want to implement some change. So this is the approach that I typically suggest for the companies, and based on my own experience, it works pretty well. Just because it helps us to avoid that huge risk, which is focusing on technology itself. Um, and then we need to manage the change and risks. So, because during the transformational engagement, the change will be constant. So we will take one step on the whole roadmap from as is to the to be state, and after that single stage, so some piece of implementation, we will get additional data of the outputs of our actions, basically. So we know that if what we achieved in this first sprint, first iteration, whatever we're going to call it, if that is aligned with our vision, and if we are even going into the direction that we want to go. So this is very, very important, and we should try to be as focused on the end goal as possible while accepting the fact that the change and the risks that we are going to encounter on the journey will make us change our mind quite frequently. And what is important is that we should not sacrifice the goal, like the overall goal, the mission of the company, in favor of those challenges, but we should be open to make some compromises where those compromises do not impact the big goal in the first place. So, going further, we need to choose the right digital transformation metrics for the industry, because that basically means we need to be able to measure the progress, and we need to be able somehow to manage the transformation engagement, because that's going to be a huge engagement that basically takes us as the enterprise into the unknown. That to be state is basically unknown state for everyone, and we need to be able to define that state as clearly as possible and to guide ourselves on the journey. That's why we need to have the alignment with the business goals. So that the high level vision of what we are trying to achieve in the first place. That should be always the North Star that helps us to go into the direction that we want to go. And of course, for every industry, there are some specific functionalities, use cases, or processes that are more important than for others. So we need to take that into the account while we are defining both the end state and the journey that we want to get there. But something that is extremely important, and I think that it is one of the most important factors that you need to take into account, and that you should use during the digital transformation itself, is the clarity and simplicity of the goals. And by that I mean both the end state and the vision that we want to implement, and goals of every sprint, of every iteration. Because if we use them wisely, if those goals are clear and simple, then it's very easy to track our progress. But if we do not know what we are trying to achieve, then the first sign for me when I'm in this transformational engagement that something is not going in the right direction is when the goals and requirements are not clear and are not simple. That basically means that the person, the organization, the department that created those requirements, they do not really understand what we are after, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine because transformation, especially the digital transformation, brings us into the unknown territory. So no one knows basically how to get there and what to expect once we are going to achieve that. But still, we should have some kind of idea of what we are after. So, and that idea should be codified using clear and simple requirements. Because once we've got clear and simple requirements, we can assign clear accountability, and we can take actions based on those requirements. So you can see that starting from the business goals, starting from the high-level vision, going all the way through the industry-specific context, then using clarity and simplicity to the demand, actionability, and accountability. So this way, we know that everyone is on board and we are trying to achieve the same output, and we accept the fact that we might fail. I love the sentence that failure is not an option, because quite opposite is true. Like the failure is the most probable option and outcome of digital transformation. So we need to be simply aware of that, and that's why we are not trying to implement the digital transformation in one long run. We chop it into number of iterations, and we want to do the cross check after every iteration if we are heading in the direction that we want to head, and if we even like the direction that we are heading. And in order to do that, we need to have clear requirements, we need to have requirements that are actionable, and we got the owners of specific areas, specific use cases, specific requirements, because those owners are responsible for both implementing those requirements, and after implementation, they are responsible for answering the core question. So we got where we wanted to go. What's now? Like, are we happy with the state, or maybe we should adjust our current position? And that's the role of the requirement owner, and it can only be executed when those requirements are simple and actionable. Let's move forward, because this is something that is one of the biggest challenges when we introduce digital transformation, for instance, to in the manufacturing space. Right, there is a significant resistance. that digital transformation will basically make people fired, to robots and AI will take their jobs, and everything is going to be worse than before transformation itself. And that's why before we start any implementation, we should make everyone understand why we are doing that in the first place. So what's the motivation? And most of the time, the motivation of digital transformation is not to fire people. Even if we are going to introduce some robots and some automation on the shop floor, for instance, we do not want to fire those people in the first place. We simply want to increase the efficiency, and we want to leverage the skills and knowledge of our employees doing some other tasks. But that is not clear typically for everyone. That's why this is the extremely important to make everyone aware why we are doing that, and to involve people, because the people on the ground, on the shop floor, for instance, they've got the very unique knowledge about how the whole factory really operates, and that knowledge is absolutely critical to successfully perform the digital transformation, and for instance to optimize production line, to automate it, to implement advanced topics like predictive maintenance and so on. So that's why those users should be involved. And the saying that I like is, within digital transformation, everyone is the stakeholder, not only the C-level decision makers, but everyone down to the shop floor level personnel is the stakeholder that should be included and should be listened why we are in the middle of that transformational journey. So what are the main challenges and risks of digital transformation for the consumer, from the consumer experience? So actually, I love this sentence because this brings the whole topic to totally different conversation. Because up to this point, we were talking about digital transformation from within the enterprise and what does it mean both for the owners of that enterprise and for the personnel. But what about the customer, right? The customer is the most important actor in the whole equation. And this is very, very important to remember about it, because the as is state, so the starting state, it is what get us to the certain point, and this is what our customers are really paying for, right? They are with us, they are paying for our services, for our products, because they like what we are currently. So we need to be very careful not to lose our customers during the digital transformation journey, because if we try to change habits of our customers, for instance, they are typically not happy about it. And if we change the way that the product or service operates, they might not be happy about it as well. So we need to always remember that when we are in the middle of the digital transformation, the impact is not only internally for the company, the impact is also internally for the end users and for the customers, and that needs to be taken into account. And at every iteration, we should check if what we are doing during the transformation, every little step, increases the end user satisfaction, or maybe it harms that. And in that case, maybe we should just openly communicate to the customers that we are transforming. We know that it might impact your experience, and we are sorry for that, but we will do our best to minimize the impact on your satisfaction, for instance. And this type of clear communication really helps to build trust and to get the customers on board. Going forward, the trade-offs between speed, quality, cost of the digital transformation. This is something that is very important because unfortunately the reality is that digital transformation projects typically take a long time, cost lots of money, and sometimes we are somewhere in the middle of the roadmap, and we see that there is no way that we can deliver what we hoped to deliver within the budget and within the time agreed. And what then, right? And in order to be able to take those trade-offs between the speed, quality, cost, and so on, we need to be very clear of what we try to achieve and what is the most important outcome of the transformation itself. Because without that, we will be lost, basically, right? We cannot uh, put some things out of the scope at random, because that would end up in a huge failure. And once we are in a position that we are forced to reduce the scope or maybe the quality of the changes that we introduce within given digital transformation project, we should always focus on them from the goals perspective and from the stakeholders perspective as well, because the stakeholders are the one that are able to decide whether they want to accept the risk of removing some requirements from the scope or not. And yeah, we should learn from the failures and from successes. It is way easier to learn from the failure, because once we fail, that makes everyone to stop for a second and to think why we failed and how we can prevent that from the future. It's way harder to learn from successes, because even if we succeed and we know that not everything was perfect, we typically tend to say, okay, well, we succeeded anyways, so let's not waste our time on that, let's move forward. And we lose the opportunity for learning from successes. So what I always suggest is to be very honest with ourselves, both when we fail and succeed, and trying to extract as much knowledge from every outcome as possible. Okay, we've got two topics left, and I wanted to take the IoT into the picture. So those are IoT related, yet focusing on the digital transformation. So what are the main challenges and risks of implementing Internet of Things? And there are a few. The uh, typical risk on the typical ask from the customer is about the data security and privacy. And depending on the use case, depending on the solution or product, those varies. But we need to be sure that we understand how to provide data security and how to respect everyone's privacy. And this is very important. And if, for instance, within the digital transformation journey, we are introducing some IoT capabilities to the end products, or we are introducing those products in the first place, we should be very careful not to harm our users by data security or privacy concerns. Like, we need to be very focused on that. Then the integration part is extremely important, because the Internet of Things, it's not that we connect some device to the internet and we are done. Like, more often than not, that is focused on integrating our devices with rest of the ecosystem, very fragmented ecosystem most of the time. And this is something that we need to take into account from the very beginning, that the implementing Internet of Things solutions is not about our device, our application, or whatever. It is about how capabilities of our device can be used together with the rest of the ecosystem. And we need to carefully design how to integrate with rest of the world. Scalability is always something that is worth remembering when we work with devices. We need to be sure that whatever solution we are building, whatever backend infrastructure we are using, it will handle traffic required to serve the number of customers that we want to serve. So the last thing regarding this step is the skills and competences. Because as I said, not every enterprise is the IT enterprise. Not every company got in-house IoT skills, and bringing IoT into the whole picture, that really increases the demand for IT skills and for various skills, because Internet of Things spans from the hardware, firmware, to the software, and often cloud backend. So this is pretty complex ecosystem, and we need to ensure that if we use Internet of Things technologies as one of tools for the digital transformation, we need to ensure that we've got those skills internally or externally. Finally, how do we ensure security and privacy of data and devices? So I said that this is the main concern, both for the business owners and users, the data security and privacy. And there are a few ways that we can implement that. This is like very tactical. So if you look at the digital transformation stack, so we've got the vision at the very top and the overall goal, and how to implement the security and privacy. This is like a very tactical, low-level type of decision, right? But this is extremely important, because if we fail to ensure security and privacy of our users, then even if we've got great goal, great vision, the whole engagement is going to fail, because people will not trust us. So remember about it. Use encryption, use strong authentication, both between devices and between devices and the backend. Implement access control, monitoring. All those low-level tactical decisions need to be made, and those implementations need to be put in place during the digital transformation if you decide to leverage the Internet of Things technologies to digitally transform your enterprise. So those are all articles that I prepared for you today. Hopefully they were interesting for you. If you want to read all of those articles with comments, go to thefingers.com/live. You will find that Google Doc with links to every article that I mentioned today. And with that, I want to thank you for your attention. Hopefully, next time I will be able to meet with interesting guests to have some kind of conversation instead of myself speaking all the time. But that's life. So, once again, thank you very much. I'm Łukasz Malinowski, the Internet of Things advisor and trainer. And till next time, bye.